Welcome back to the Black and Gold Standard Podcast. And today we're going to get into week two matchups with the Seattle Seahawks. This NFL season is flying along already. We're already into week two. So, um, when I kind of looked at this, I was like, this should be an easy win for the Steelers. But start looking at things a little more. Um, this is going to be a tough game. Just going to be a tough game. And the only reason it's going to be, I feel as though it's going to be a tough game is because I think Seattle is strong in the positions where the Steelers are weak on defense, and then on offense, Seattle is strong where right now the Steelers are weak, and that's stopping the run. So it's kind of weird. I think overall the Steelers are a better team. But like I say, it's just Seattle is strong in those positions where right now, at least, the Pittsburgh Steelers are having some issues um, dealing with those positions. And that kind of showed itself in week one against the Jets. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into it. And see what we got here. Let's see. No, 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 no. Oh, no. All right. So, like I say, this is going into week two against the Seattle Seahawks. Believe it or not, the Seattle Seahawks they went 7-1 on the road last year. They went 7-1 on the road last year. Actually, their issues were, and it's kind of weird because they've always been, the 12th man, and always been, you go to Seattle, that was almost an automatic loss. I mean, that's a long flight for mostly every team in the league, and they have some passionate fans, and that was just a hard place to go up there and win. But they're actually struggling for some reason. They're struggling at home now, and they've been a great road team. They dropped their first game this season at home, and just kind of weird. So this is a team that hey, for some reason they're used to going on the road and winning. You don't see too many teams that go 7-1, um, you know, away from home. The series, these teams have played 21 times. Pittsburgh is up 11-10, not counting the Super Bowl victory against the Seahawks. But Steelers are up 11-10. No team, this is weird, no team has never won back-to-back games in this series. They last played in 2023, and the Steelers won. So it's just one of those things. Hopefully, the Steelers can break that trend and get two wins in a row. Um, you remember in 2000, I think it was 2019, they played, and that's when Ben blew his elbow out. So there's always been some weird things going on against Seattle. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the matchups. So our first matchup is the quarterbacks. You got Sam Darnold and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers kind of showed himself and showed what he's going to be about. Hopefully for the rest of the season, if the Steelers can keep him healthy and keep him upright. It seems like from an arm standpoint and from his mind standpoint, he's still a he's still a great quarterback. He still can make all the throws, and you know, he had great a great game, throwing for 4 touchdowns. Where on the flip side, Sam Darnold got big money from Seattle, and didn't really go that it really didn't go that well for him as as far as his performance. Um, Sam Darnold was not really rumored, but he was one of the guys that people was thinking with the Steelers maybe make a pitch for him and try to get him in Pittsburgh. But I think in the long run the Steelers made the right decision to probably go with Rodgers and not really get into that contract that Sam Darnold ended up getting. But with that said, with the quarterbacks, obviously, I'm giving that to Pittsburgh. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to continue to move this team through the air. Just we gotta just give him some better protection. So the Steelers got to really work on that this week. And like I said, they are Seattle is strong where the Steelers are weak. So the running backs, Charbonnet, oh man, and Walker, Kenneth Walker, they make a very good 1-2 punch. Not really explosive guys, more on the power side, but these are two guys that you can't really let them get going and get started, or the Steelers could have a problem stopping the run. Right now, the Steelers, Warren is RB1. Uh, I think a lot of their performance is just tied into their offensive line right now. But with that said, I'm giving that to Seattle. I think Seattle got the advantage with that two-headed monster, and the Steelers really need to get their offensive line going. Wide receivers, man, DK Metcalf. This is his revenge game, I guess you could say, and I think he's going to get revenge. I'm looking for a big day out of DK. Um, I think he goes over 100 yards in this game. Seattle do have a good secondary, and probably more than likely, I don't know if they're going to double DK, but they're definitely going to put Witherspoon on them, and that's their best corner, and he's a good young corner, good physical guy, but I just think DK is really going to be motivated to put on a good show and kind of show them that they probably should have kept him. Um, on the flip side, Seattle with JSN. I think one thing the Steelers have to do, I'm putting Ramsey. I mean, Ramsey has asked for this, that he want to be the man, or he is the man, and I'm gonna let him be the man. And every week he's going to get the tough matchups, and let him just travel wherever JSN goes, and just go from there. Um, we'll see what happens. I don't really expect Porter to play. They got Cooper Cup, and from what I seen from him last week, he looked kind of washed a little bit, but maybe that was just a bad week one. Um, but you got Slay, and you can put Slay on him. So right now, Calvin Austin had a nice solid game. I think he can keep building on that. So I'm gonna give the Pittsburgh Steelers the check on the receivers. I I think Metcalf is gonna be the difference. I expect a big game from him. And as far as the tight ends position go, it ain't really much to say about this. Like I said before, the Steelers are probably gonna be better than 90%. I know about 98% of the teams in the NFL when it comes to the tight end position, and I see them, keeping that rolling this week, and definitely giving them the check on that. Um, I think Rodgers will still keep getting those guys involved. I hopefully they can get Darnell Washington kind of in the flow a little bit. Wasn't able to really get in the flow last week. I thought they had to kind of keep him in there to block. So we'll see what happened this week. And then that offensive line, believe it or not, with all the Steelers struggles, with all this Broderick Jones crap that's going on, I think their offensive line has more talent than what Seattle's offensive line has right now. And believe it or not, in a very rare case, I'm giving a check to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm gonna put some faith in these guys, and I'm just gonna see how it works out. See, Pat Myers really work these guys out, and they can get past their mistakes that they made, and get Robert Jones going. So I'm willing to go one more week with him. So let's move over to the defense. Um, Again, like I said, I feel like Seattle is strong where the Steelers are weak. But as far as the edge or defensive ends, I'm giving that nod to T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith. I really think they're going to get after Darnold. They won't have to kind of play under control as much as they did last week against Justin Fields. Donald is going to pretty much be right there on that spot where they expect him to be, and I think Highsmith and T.J. Watt will get hold to him this week. So yeah, I'm giving the Steelers the edge in the defensive edge category. Defensive tackle. I think this is probably where Seattle is really strong at. They're very strong in this position. Um, they're going to give they're going to give the Steelers um, offensive line as much as they want. I mean, you got Leonard Williams still playing at a high level, you know. So I'm actually gonna get that. I'm gonna get that to Seattle because right now I think the Steelers defensive tackles, Cam still got to get himself in shape. Um, I still believe the Steelers play Bennett in the wrong position, and Harmon is not back yet. And Black, I think Black will get more time than he got last week, but we'll see how that goes. And the Steelers probably gonna have to play Lawler Milk again, and so they got some guys that they're playing that I think eventually, when everybody gets healthy and Black really gets in the flow, that some of these guys that's playing right now won't be playing. So, and like I said, I think this is Seattle's strength, so I'm giving that to Seattle. The off-ball linebackers, the Steelers linebackers did not have a good a good week last week, but I think they're with Queen and Wilson. Their biggest problem is the Steelers defensive line got whipped, and they had guys, they're fighting off guards and tackles, and those guys are Queen and Wilson. They're not the biggest, so I think that was an issue. But I still think Pittsburgh got the edge on the off ball linebackers, and I'm giving them the check there. The secondary, Seattle has a very, very strong secondary with Wooden and Weatherspoon, Kobe Bryant, and Julian Love at holding down the safety positions. Um, this is a very good secondary, very good secondary. But I think right now with the Steelers, I mean, even though I thinking they're probably not going to have Porter this week, I think Jamil Peppers, that was a good pickup for them. I don't really see him playing a major um, point this week. He probably get in probably, I don't know. I think he's probably gonna play less than 10 snaps, but I can see the Steelers probably getting him in on a few packages. But I'm giving this to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you got Ramsey, so I think Ramsey's gonna lead this secondary for the Steelers, and I really like what the Steelers can do. The safety position, um, this is really a toss up because, like I say, you got Love, you got Kobe Bryant, so that they're strong at the safety position. Where Pittsburgh, it won't be no Elliott this week, so you probably gonna have Thornhill out there. I think Peppers will get a little bit of play. So and probably Chuck Clark. And Chuck Clark, to me, I think once Peppers really get up to speed, he's probably gonna push Clark on out of there. But right now, I'm gonna get an edge to the Steelers. But to be honest, this is really almost a push. This is almost a push at this position. All right, so the last section is going to be the special teams and coaching. And the one thing that I would say right off the bat with special teams is Bosworth. Boz is the man, and so the Steelers is pretty much gonna have this every week to me. Uh, Josh Myers, I think that's their kicker's name. Decent kicker, but um, Bosworth is the best kicker in the league right now. So that's always going to give the Steelers the upper hand. Their special teams are pretty good. I thought last week they kind of gave up a little bit too much return yards, but also they made a big play that turned that game around. So Steelers special teams are pretty good, and I see them continuing to be that way. Coaching, um, Mike McDonald, this is his second year. Again, was able to go 7-1 on the road, which is pretty impressive. Um, come from the Ravens, so he knows Pittsburgh. He knows the Steelers in and out. Um, he has a good staff, but I'm still gonna give the the nod to Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin. And so with that said, I'm gonna get a nod to the Steelers as far as the coaching, but um, again, this is more of a guy that, at least with McDonald being with the Ravens, he knows a lot about the Steelers, and so he's gonna have his team prepared. And like I said, this is not gonna be an easy game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, here we go. Prediction time. Um, we didn't have the score, and that game actually was a little tougher than what I thought it would be. But we did say the Steelers would come out with a victory, and I am saying that the Steelers will have another victory this week. I see the Steelers winning this game 23-16. Hard fought game, but I think the Steelers find a way, especially at home opener. I think the Steelers find a way to get this victory, and I think the Steelers will win 23-16. So with that said, that is it for our matchups for week 2. Um, so hopefully we're right, and the Steelers can move on to 2-0, keep this thing going. So until then, I will talk to you guys later. Make sure you like and subscribe. Let's help me build this station. And that's pretty much it. So until next time, I'll talk to you guys later, and you take care. Bye-bye.